today's story. Montreal connection. It's not connection, Montreal story. It didn't happen in Montreal, as you'll hear. Born, I'll read it as it's written. Born in Łódź, that's Lodz, Poland. Wolf Greenglass, you know what I'm talking about, of course. The venerated and much beloved, very humble. The Rebbe's Makubal, Rebbe called him my Makubal, and the Rebbe Xaviat Kodshe wrote on him Mashpia Vanash in Montreal, Mashpia in Yeshiva. So he was born in 1917, passed away 2010. So a bit of his background. He was born, had grown up in a home permeated with love of Jewish learning. They were Alexander Chassidim, one of the biggest Chassidis in Poland, and virtually all wiped out by the Nazis. The biggest Chassidis in Poland was Ger, was the biggest, and Alexander was the next. Although many Rebbes, Alexander was the next biggest Chassidis. And he grew up in Alexander, parents of Alexander Chassidim. They say about the Ger Rebbe, and he had 500,000 Chassidim who didn't put on film because they're under Bar Mitzvah. Gives an idea of the numbers on the eve of the Holocaust. So his parents, back to Rav Wolf, were so poor that he had to forgo a chinuch and education in yeshiva, and at a very young age had to go out and earn a livelihood. But he longed to continue to learn Torah and constantly sought opportunities to learn. And he met the famous of Zalman Schneerson. Tell you his story one day. So Zalman Schneerson, he organized the shiurim and fabrengens in Łódź, where he lived. And he doesn't tell us how this happened, but somehow he encountered this involved. He was captivated by the Chabad approach to divine service, particularly the many hours. He writes about this involved, talked about it a lot. The many hours that Reb Zalman Schneerson would daven each day, especially Shabbos. And Reb Zalman encouraged him to apply to the yeshiva in Atvotsk, where the Frierdiker Rebbe was then. So Rav Wolf doubted the yeshiva would accept him because he was already a working bacher, a working man. But Rav Zalman said, you try. You apply, and they'll give you the opportunity. He was confident that you'll show that you are worthy. You'll prove your ability. So he arrived in Atvotsk, which is like a small resort town, one evening, without having arranged a place to stay. As he stood in the zal, in the study hall, one of the Talmidim, one of the students, approached him and asked him if he has a bed for the night. Hearing that he didn't, so the student brought him to a room and directed him to a bed. He said, you sleep here. Rav Wolf, the young bacher, exhausted from his trip, immediately fell into a deep sleep. He woke in the middle of the night to find the same student, the same bacher who had offered him the bed, sitting in the room and saying Krishma Shalamita, which we say before retiring. And this young man was davening with such concentration that the brief prayer, as we all know, it's not a lot of pages, lasted for hours. In the morning, Wolf learned that this bacher's name who gave his bed was Yosef Weinberg. And he had given up his bed for this new bacher, stranger, that had come to yeshiva. And of course, Rabbi Yosef Weinberg, you all know him as the translator of the Tanya, and maybe you do know that he had a radio program on WEVD in New York for many years, which brought Tanya and Chassidus and then the Rebbe's Fabrengens to tens of thousands. And the roving ambassador of Chabad. His formal job was fundraiser for the Lubavitch Yeshiva Central Headquarters. And many stories. Rabbi Weinberg, his son, Levi, from South Africa, we had him one Shabbos, and it was extraordinary Shabbos. Levi was Shliach as a bacher to Australia, my chavrosa / mentor, older than me, big Talmud Chacham. So this is Rabbi Yosef Weinberg, as a bacher who gave his bed, no fanfare, for the night, and as he devoted himself to Krishma Shalamita. Friends, have a wonderful day.